This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Hi, everyone. This is David Frew from Chef2.com, and you're listening to Shawn Rosler on the Coarse Grind Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Coarse Grind Podcast. With you as always, this evening, host creator Shawn Rosler. How is everyone doing tonight? You know, it's been a while. It's been the longest time, I believe, if I check the calendar, between episodes. A month plus, to be exact. And not to really go into too gritty a detail of what's been recapped on our social channels and everything. But there was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I had to take a step away from the show and pursue. As you can well imagine, it involved cooking, it involved TV, and that's probably where I have to leave it still because of contracts. I got really close. Really close, like 4 digits down to 2, and it wasn't to be. I want to take a moment right here, right now, at the beginning of, I guess, what we can call a new season, kind of a reboot of the show, to thank every one of you who followed me, supported me, encouraged me. I can't feel too bad about myself, honestly, close as I got, but let's be honest, I've got more important shit to do right here, right now, on the Coarse Grind Podcast. And so with that in mind, a recent trip to my hometown of Honesdale, my dear old Honesdale, gave me the chance to visit with a recent guest of the show, Chef Caleb Johnson, whose new establishment on Main Street, Native, is blowing up the culinary scene more than it already was, and it was. I'm not taking a swipe at that. Like, Honesdale is still undergoing that renaissance, but my God, man, Native has just changed the game. And when I say we visited, my wife and I left like cattle fattened for the slaughter. Sorry, vegans. What it also left me with was a reintroduction to someone I knew from my youth who turned a hard left turn onto the main drag of culinary arts in his own way. Tonight's guest is first and foremost family of mine. No shit, no lie. He's family. It took us a while to figure out just how, but we did. He's also carved his own self-trained path through the Epicurean wilds via such establishments as the Settlers Inn in Hawley, Pennsylvania, as well as Glass, Raven and Robin, and the Heron. He even staged at Maialino in Manhattan. All this aside, the presence I came into knowing in Native that evening was one of a seasoned master. This is no bullshit. We haven't talked yet. I'm telling you, when I came in and saw this young upstart who I deducted was family, I realized this was a trained professional, and yet wasn't. Plate after plate, he bombarded us with and capped off with a goat cheese cheesecake that should be criminal, and I'm pretty sure it is. After that, and briefly hearing his story, I knew a family reunion of sorts had to happen. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Self-made culinary rock star and executive sous chef at Native in Honesdale, Randy Brink. What is going on, sir?
Not a whole awful lot. You know, we had a nice 2 days off from work. We go in tomorrow at noon to continue on this pace that we're trying to keep on.
Nice.
Keeping the restaurant in everybody's view.
Yeah, and I have to say, just, being a guy who's in it, being a guy who gets it, and being a guy who, folks listening, and you for that matter, Randy, if you want to, I did 3 panels with folks in the restaurant biz, when COVID was first kind of taking hold. And you don't get that feeling when you're in Native. You guys seem to be doing well. Is that a fair estimate?
Yeah, for what it is, we're doing the best that we can. Caleb is constantly trying to do new specials every week. We're always working on different stuff, always trying to figure out a couple steps ahead to make sure that we're bringing people back so that way people aren't getting bored.
Yeah. God, What did I just see actually on your Insta? The wild boar loin with apple and leek, was it?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yep. I almost jumped in the car and came up after that. I'm like, hey, I could go and visit my parents again.
Yeah, we also had this nice country rabbit pate on the menu that wound up. Yep, that was also really, really good.
That's awesome. So I don't want to get all native centric, but I have to tell you, and I know we were talking off air there a bit, but honestly, people listening, and I know actually there's a couple celeb chefs of note who have mentioned they go up to Paw Pack or to Honesdale and whatnot. This is the place I was talking about, guys. This is the place, and I'm telling you, top 5 meals of all time, if not top 3. I do think it's in top 3. I'm not sure. But it really, what you did that evening was nothing short of magic. And Caleb and you and everybody there, Jillian, you should all be proud of what you're doing. So, but we're not here to talk about that and them. We're here to talk about you, their cousin, third cousin, twice removed. That's what you get in Honesdale. You get the family poles, right? There's no branches. You just go straight up.
Yeah, it's exactly how it is. It's it's funny because it's like I always keep telling like the people that I work with, like, well, yeah, I'm related to a lot of people in the area.
Yeah,
and then it's like someone comes in and like, oh yeah, that was a cousin. Someone comes in, yeah, that's a cousin. And
nobody
then, like,
believes it until it happens. Nobody's like, oh yeah, oh you are related to everybody. You actually have to show them, and they're like, oh shit, like who is doing who and what family? What's going on? What?
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what it is when you grow up in a small town. You gotta ask to make sure that you're not related.
Exactly, and I think I'd like to think at least for the early formative years, it kept me somewhat in line because I never knew who was watching. But I digress. Yeah. Listeners, back to the program a month later. Folks new to the program, folks with terrible short-term memories, like yours truly. Starters, mains, and afters. Starters, we're going to talk about where the guest in question came from, what brought them to the culinary landscape. Mains, we're going to talk about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it. And finally, afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one's been injured in 143 episodes, including your boss, dude. So I think we're pretty safe there. So without further ado, Randy Brink, that's so crazy to say, like cousin Randy.
I know.
Tell me about, and this is such a bullshit question, but okay. Tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
I mean, well, I grew up in Honesdale and eating, like, we were a middle-class family, so it was pretty simple, like, steak and potatoes type thing, yep. Pasta. My mom's favorite thing to make would be, like, chicken dumplings. That was usually, like,
nice.
A weekly type dish. Every once in a while, maybe some, like, shrimp scampi if she was like feeling up to it.
All right. Okay. All right. And talk to me because again, I it's always this regional picture when I ask this question about what kind of eater people were. Like I think if they come from a city, oh well, I was picky. We didn't get the liberty to be too picky. So were you a picky eater or no?
No, I remember, like, my dad going and getting, like, sandwich meat, and, like, sometimes he would get, like, liverwurst, and eating that and being completely fine with it. It would just be, like, bread, liverwurst, some mustard. That'd be a sandwich every once in a while, It was, like, nothing ever too fancy, but it also, if they decided to indulge and get, like, maybe some clams or something like that. I grew up on eating seafood, so I'm kind of accustomed to eating pretty much everything across the board.
That's the funny thing, because when I think back to the big family reunions, and they kind of fell off, but do you remember the ones down in White Mills, like at the fire company, where it would be like a freaking clam bake, and there'd be clams all over the place, and God, the desserts got sold, but there was like apple strudel, and there were almost fist fights over apple strudel. I'm like, wait a minute, food can incite violence, which I love now. I'm like, cool, yeah, fight over it. But I remember the clams. My mom would
usually like make a cake and bring that to those,
Yeah,
that was back when the family was still kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it was big, and now we've got like social media and podcasts. So, hey, family, what's going on?
Yeah, right.
Talking about all those foods, talking about those things that Mom made, and all that. And especially now being in the culinary profession, talk to me about dishes that kind of create a nostalgic feeling in your heart. Like, what harkens back to your childhood? I know we mentioned chicken dumplings and shrimp scampi, Are there other dishes, other foods, like liverwurst for me, just to kind of buy you time here? Liverwurst for me, I get it. It's weird, but at the same time, man, like if you put that on a cracker and you smear it, like it's almost like this when I was young pate. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like it's or like almost like chicken liver mousse. Like it's kind of there. It's not totally, I get it. But so talk to me about what takes Randy Brink back to his childhood.
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, like what I said before, but also there's sometimes when like we have meatballs on the menu and every once in a while, like, and we've talked about this at work and stuff because like I've always found it funny. Like my dad would make porcupine balls, which was just meatballs with cooked rice rolled in them and then baked off again. Like that's,
there you go.
Like meatballs are something that kind of brings me back, makes me think about like food that was made at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Ribs are another thing.
Ooh,
that
nice.
Like, yeah, that's definitely an easy thing for me to like think back on growing up and eating.
Yeah.
I mean, chicken, of course, like, cause growing up, like chicken, that was a affordable protein. So that was in the house pretty often.
Yeah.
A lot of desserts, cause my mom, she had a carpal tunnel from being a seamstress. And, so when she was out of work for a while, she was baking. She was always like baking cakes and pies,
nice.
doing that for family stuff. So like pastries, that kind of stuff, that brings back some childhood memories every now and then.
There you go, man.
Especially when it's like, especially when it's something that like, if I'm working on something and then it's like, oh yeah, that's right. My mom used to make this. I can make it now and do it better. Yep.
Oh, careful now. But yes, I completely get what you're saying. And it's so funny. I think so often, and I love that you're in such an establishment as you are with Caleb, because I think if you went to more of maybe a French centric, like a Thomas Keller French Laundry, kind of feel, I think that's almost frowned upon. And that's not necessarily a diss against Keller, even though he supports Trump. But moving on, that was a very subtle dig. And I mean, I'm running out of time here. November 3rd is coming.
It is.
It's funny how we can elevate food to a certain degree, and yet, like, if we sit around the table, and I mean, your joint, like, I'm not kidding, folks. Native in Honesdale, Main Street. Get there yesterday. If you go in and you close your eyes, you're in Manhattan. You're in wherever you want to be. That's where you are in the best possible way. And the food that comes out is humble yet inspired. And I was struggling to figure out how I wanted to describe Native, and humble yet inspired was where I landed, because it can harken back to a small town. Like Honesdale's a small town, people, by the way. It can harken back to it, but at the same time, what you do there is like mastery in elevating that, in doing it better. Yes, I'll give you that. I think we all seek to better that. But like, it's so wonderful that in an environment like Native, or like Honesdale for that matter, we can take that humble element and elevate it to such a degree. Yeah,
I agree with that. I mean, I think it's a good thing that it isn't, we are doing this in a small town. Like it's weird because it's like, there's a little less pressure to like be on point and perfect with everything. But at the same time, there's like more pressure because of the type of food that we're doing. Like it's comfort food, but it's higher end comfort food. It's
like, beyond, like it's porn food. Like, it's not just comfort food. It's full on to completion food. Like, it's happy ending food. And it's insane. It's just so good. Like, I don't typically get to like go off about a guest's food, because a lot of times it's like, oh, NBC gave me your name here. Do you want to interview this top chef? Okay, cool. And I've never eaten there. I had a chance to literally almost die at your hands. And so
we did stuff you pretty hard.
You did. You're assholes, all of you. But I loved it, and we loved it. So like it's so it is comfort food. It's comforting, and yet when you look around at the clientele, and I mean that's one of my first things I do anytime I go into a space. I'm like, holy shit! Like there's literally every facet of humanity in this small-ish space. That's amazing. And you're doing that in Honesdale.
Yeah, we've lucked out pretty good with like the array of people that have come in to eat. I mean, we have like somebody who's just like a regular construction worker that comes in and loves just the steak and potatoes, and then we'll have some people from the city that are used to like more posh experiences coming in and then ordering like our house-made pastas and enjoying them just as much as that other guy that's like in his mashed potato, like his potatoes,
Exactly. Exactly. And when you can marry those two ends up, you are doing something very, very right. Like, I cannot tell you how right that is. Like, that you're nailing both of those endpoints. Like, to go in and see both elements of humanity under the same roof, eating off the same menu. I think that's the goal of every restaurant, like, ever. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Right.
Servicing people is kind of the point of the restaurant industry, and if you can manage to bridge all those gaps and get an array of people underneath your roof, you're going to wind up being more sustainable for a longer period of time.
Yeah. No, for sure. To go back to your story, I feel so torn because, like, I'm experiencing Randy Brink present, and I still want to talk Randy Brink historic. Growing up, now, obviously, you've tipped your hat in a couple directions. I'm wondering, who is your greatest culinary influence, if you had to name one? I'll give you that. You can name two because I knew mom and dad, so like I can, I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's kind of hard because like I'm so informal with like culinary and the fact that like I didn't go to school for it. I got into it entirely by chance. So like studying chefs has like never really been a thing of mine. So like there's like chefs that like like you mentioned like people that I respect like Thomas Keller, Anthony Bourdain. Like there's some big names out there, but I was never in that position to where like when I got into it that like there was somebody with a particular style that like I really liked, and that's the kind of style that I followed. Yeah. Because my learning experience was from all of these other people in a kitchen. So like my learning experience has been strictly that. It's been a lot less informed by top chefs or higher end chefs.
Sure.
It's been always the people that I work with.
Yeah. So I mean, from that group, and I mean, it can even be mom and dad. I mean, it does sound like mom and dad were in there, but more than mom and dad, was there somebody you came up with that like you were like, oh shit, I vibe well with this human being. Like I want to learn more from them.
Yeah, I mean, like when I first started at Sellers, there was like a group of us, and it was like me, my friend Justin Hewitt, Keegan Marchand, Frank Camp. Like we all like grew up like together in that kitchen for quite a while, and it was like we kind of all vibed off each other for a minute there, where we were always like we'd usually get together, we'd talk about menu stuff, we'd write menu items and dishes, and like our dishes, like the way that we would write it would be these weird graphs where like we'd start with like a protein and then like branch off of like every side that you could do, and then like what other dishes that would go on there. And we'd usually like sit around, have drinks, and work on that kind of stuff. And it was like this camaraderie that we all had together in that restaurant at the time when we were all working. So
I love it.
And like for a long time, me and Frank Camp, like we worked together through multiple different restaurants. Like we were real tight for the longest time. My boy Keegan, he went off to be the executive chef at the French Manor now. And my friend Justin, he left and went to New Hampshire, and he wound up working at Stages 1 in Washington for a while. And he was there when they broke into I think it was like the top 50 restaurants in the United States.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, he was there for a while. He wound up leaving the culinary world. He retired and decided to be an electrician.
Wow. Well, but I mean, honestly though, the culinary world treats you like a magnesium bulb. I mean, you burn hot, you burn fast, and you burn short, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes it gets to a point where you're done with it, and that happens to everyone. I mean, I think everybody also goes through those moments being in the industry where you hit points where you're like, is this really what I want to keep doing? I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And then things happen, and if you luck out, you meet up with somebody else that kind of inspires you and relights that flame under you and can keep you going for a while longer.
Yeah, man. So safe to say, and I'm going to like ask this question and lean into the answer because it sounds like I know it. The moment you knew that the culinary landscape was where you wanted to be and be carried out on your shield, was that Settlers?
It wound up being Settlers, but Settlers was kind of like a by chance thing. I started there as a dishwasher.
The best do, man. The best do.
Yeah. Before I was there, I was doing custom contract wood furniture at a wood furniture place, and the economy tanked. I got let go of there. I didn't have a job for a while, and my friend Andy Goff, who was a chef there,
a guest of the show, we should say.
Andy?
Yes.
Yep, he was working at Settlers, and me and him have known each other since high school, and he was like, I can get you a job, it's dishwashing, but I can get you a job. I was like, fuck it, I'll take it.
Yep,
I
exactly.
need to work right now. So
I did that damn. That's, you know what, we've said it here innumerable times. The kitchen world is like the mafia. Andy Goff actually was on when the first Dieberry Forks came up, and I had him on, and he was a great interview. That's so funny that he gave you your come up then at Settlers.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I would have never gone into culinary if that hadn't been for him. Like, it happened to work out that way. I did dishwashing for a few months, and then Ben, who was the executive chef at the time at Settlers, was like,
"Hang on a minute,
learn prep."
Is that Ben who's at here and now? No.
Okay. Ben Sutter.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and he was like, "Do you want to learn prep?" I was like, "Sure, why not? That's another thing to do." So I started learning prep, and then from there on to learning GARM, and then while I was doing GARM, I got thrown into start making the desserts there. So started making the desserts, and that's when kind of the dessert thing took off for me because I was in charge of doing that there for a while. It was like I come up with ideas, bounce them off Ben, whatever worked within the dessert, we'd keep, and then keep adjusting until we had something that was workable and sellable at the station.
We don't even want to talk about your desserts, you big freaking jerk. That's why I couldn't move, man. That cheesecake. Listen.
Oh yeah, that thing sits like a brick.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I sit there, and I mean, granted, we were the two geniuses that are like, oh, we're just gonna have a glass each, bottle of Brut Cuvée later. Oh, I can't move. Oh, my God. Oh, you're not kidding, man. That sat like a freaking brick, but in the best possible way. Like, if it was a brick of gold or a brick of weed, if you're rocking that, like, that's exactly what that shit sat like. So, again.
Yeah. And that's the point. It's supposed to be decadent. That's my cheesecake is not a light and fluffy cheesecake. Mine's a little bit more dense and a lot more rich.
Oh my God.
And it'll definitely weigh you down at the end of a meal.
I'm having pain in my colon listening to you discuss it. So that's so cool, and it's so funny and like, I don't know, coincidental that the guest of the show gave you the come up, and here you are on the show today. So that's what Culinary is all about. I love the connectivity that happens there. So let's fast forward then. We go past Settlers to Glass to Raven and Robin to Heron to Maialino, and here you are at Native. Now, talk to me about Native's menu process, because I see it moving constantly. I love. Like, honestly, it's the best food porn ever to look at Caleb's menu. I say Caleb's menu. It's a group process, I imagine. But, when I see it, it comes from Chef, and I'm like, oh, my God. And it's constantly moving. Talk to me about the creative process behind that. What's involved with that?
It's a lot of what's in season and what's available to us from the farmers that we work with. So if there's something new coming this season, then usually items get adjusted on that menu. And then it'll be like Caleb and I will often spitball ideas to each other about what to do with something new that's coming in, if it's like asparagus or arugula or I think we should be getting in like celery root. I believe should be something coming up here soon.
Nice.
So it'll be like working on a dish with those. It's just what farmers have that's available to us. So the ideas are always coming from Caleb, and then we're always spitballing ideas because his brain doesn't stop. He's on 24 go with that.
That's awesome. Going seasonal is not the easy way. Obviously, I think a lot of people go the easy way. How do you? Obviously, having somebody in the helm who's on blast 24/7 is great, right? But you've all got to support that. Where do you go to pull that inspiration from?
I mean, like scrounging cookbooks and seeing stuff online. If even stupid things like my wife loves watching cooking shows all the time. So it'd be like walking by, I happen to see like a piece of a plate that looks really good that we could possibly I could pull an idea from. Nice. And then we could tweak it to make it ours. It's pulling it from everywhere. You can't really stop because there's constantly influence in everywhere you look. It's just a matter of whether you take the time to notice it or not.
This is why people, I endorse fully the non-traditional route in this field, because there is not a traditionally trained human being. I shouldn't say that. Maybe there is. But I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who is traditionally trained who would come out with an explanation like that. I think you have to come up by your own bootstraps to be able to say that. To just be able to say, hey, keep your eyes open. Oh, well, no, I have to go back to Leroux's Gastronomique and go to page 546 and look at diagram 192.A. Like, no, man, just be aware. Like, be open to it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Caleb's big thing is, like, he loves foraging. He loves going out and finding stuff that he can bring home and do, like, his own little tests on. And if it works, then that gets to come into the restaurant. And that's kind of changed a little bit of a perspective for me on keeping my eye open for stuff outside, because it's not something that I had particularly thought about before, because all the places that I worked at, that's not how we worked. It wasn't, we didn't think about foraging. We didn't think about the stuff that you can literally find right in your backyard, and then what kind of applications those could have to be able to bring flavors and profiles to a dish that you can serve in your restaurant.
You got the Cisco box off the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that's how a lot of places are. It's, you get the Cisco box, and then you work on that. And luckily we're in a different spot with this restaurant than a lot of places in the area where we're capable of thinking that way. And having Caleb as a boss, that's his favorite thing. I mean, like, he's in hunt mode right now. I think this is the most I've seen him distracted in the kitchen, is because he comes in and the first thing he thinks about is which way the wind is blowing. Am I going to be able to get out on Monday or Tuesday on his days off, so that way he can go out there and sit in his stand and look for some deer?
I got buck fever.
Yeah, for real. He's rutting to kill a deer like deers are rutting to mate. You know. Yes.
I got a young hunter, my 13-year-old, and this will piss Caleb off, so I hope he's listening. He went out for his first time last year, and within 35 minutes had his first buck. And this year he went out, and within the first hour he had his doe. So
Caleb will be upset about that.
it's pretty bad, man. I'm like, God, I just want to see the kid struggle just a little bit. Like, it's not asking much. But
it's all right. It'll happen to him eventually, and then he'll get to feel that disappointment of not just being able to walk out in the woods and harvest the deer. You know,
I know, right? No longer like the supermarket. So that's so cool, man. And truth be told, the seasonal aspect of Native, I think, is what makes it so unique. And the fact that, again, you know, I know that Caleb was classically trained. You know, you not being classically trained, and yet the two of you can match up and talk seasonal. Like, that just speaks to the logic that is seasonal ingredient. You know, I think if we step back and we look at it, it makes sense. Of course it does. And especially now in COVID, I think seasonal makes more sense than ever, because less people want to be going out to the stores. More people want to be just like going to their farm stands or growing in their backyard. So I think people are getting their hand forced maybe a little bit towards seasonal.
It definitely seems that way. I mean, I can't speak definitively whether that's happening or not, but it does seem like the farmers are doing a lot better this year in terms of being able to sell their product to like just normal people at like the markets that are still set up and able to go. Like, and I mean, from the way that the farmers talk when they come in, it sounds like they're doing well enough. So I do hope that is an actual thing, that people are finding that going to your local farmer is a lot more sustainable than they actually were expecting it to be, and the produce is a lot better than going up to a Walmart and getting shit from there.
Yeah, no question. So, seasonal, people. Seasonal. All right, let's play a little bit of spilling tea, because I'm sure you've got some opinions, and I love getting good chef opinions on such things. Looking towards food as trend, and maybe we just answered this, I'm not sure. What, in your opinion, is going to be the next big thing in food, in the culinary field? Like, what's the next big trend? Is it seasonal, or is it something different?
I mean, it's kind of like this like weird thing now where for a while it was like getting your produce from your farmers and being local like that, and now it's people trying to be even smaller and growing their own stuff. I could see farmer like restaurants wanting to have their own sustainable farms becoming it's already kind of becoming a thing. Like you can see where people are trying to do that. So like maybe you could see chefs starting more gardens at their own personal homes, maybe getting employees to help grow gardens and be more self-sustaining like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's really like, that's kind of especially everybody wants to be farm to table. That's like kind of everybody's end goal for the most part.
But that almost became a dirty word after a while. It was almost like, oh, hey, I love vanilla. Well, what kind of vanilla do you like? What you know?
Yeah, so I could see a trend happening where it's like people creating like micro gardens outside back of their restaurant, so that way they could say that their stuff is theirs and they're not just getting it from another farmer. So that way it's like you could have a little catchy thing on your menu saying like grown here. I could see that becoming a thing. Yeah.
No, that's it's funny because we had connected with some restaurants local here who did just that, who had like farms on property. And I'll reference too, actually, Old Tioga Farm here in Stillwater, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. They have a farm literally on property. Everything right there. Blind Pig, also here in Bloomsburg on Iron Street. They're not in the restaurant space as much. The restaurant space has become more of a marketplace for some of the products they make. They're doing on-farm dinners, al fresco, which, I mean, I imagine is going to change and with the cold weather. But, like, they've been doing this wonderful co-op with the local theater company, Bloomsburg Theater Ensemble, and it's just been great. So I almost feel as divisive as society has become, food has been that great equalizer of sorts.
Yeah, it definitely has, and especially with like things like what's going on right now with COVID and shit. It's one of the few outs that people have to be able to not be stuck inside all the time. You know, you can't go to the movie theater anymore. You can't go to sports games anymore. It's like going out, walking around, and hiking, and going to restaurants, even with our very small capacity, is kind of the most people have for getting out and socializing with other people.
It's it, man. It is the out. So that's the positive answer. Now I'm going to ask you to be a bit of a prong about things. What do you want to see go away from the culinary scene? Like, completely. What are you so sick and tired of hearing people go on about that you just want to see it die a burning, fiery death?
Avocados.
Oh,
God. I'm sorry, I fucking hate avocado toast. I don't like avocados. The shit that we get here in America is trash. Like, it's not good. If avocados could be taken away from the culinary world, I would be 100% okay with that.
Wow. God.
I don't like them. They don't do anything for me. I don't understand people enjoying them. It just, like, seeing those stupid little dragon-looking eggs.
Oh my god!
Like,
What did the avocado do to you? What happened?
It's one of the, I don't know. I'm just, they exist. That's what they did to me. They just exist. I tried one time, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me why people like them. I don't understand. I will say I have had good avocado. I've had it one time, and that was it. And that was when I was in Nicaragua, and that was the only time I've ever had an avocado that didn't taste like trash.
So, how may I ask, without you yelling at me, how you had it? Like,
it was just plain. It just happened to be a really good ripe avocado. In Nicaragua, so it's not like this stuff that we have that's mass farmed up here. It was good. I'm sure that's how avocados are supposed to taste, but it's not how ours taste by any means. It's totally different.
I have never heard someone be so angered by such an innate object, by such a seemingly harmless object. But
it's funny though, because anybody that knows me that winds up hearing this, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, no, that's Sunpar. That he fucking hates them."
Oh my god, that's so good. Like I've I agree with it to an extent, and I mean we have a timeshare in Mexico and love it. We're finally getting to go back because the kids are bigger now. And tableside guacamole being made is a fantastic experience to watch.
I've seen it done before, and I still I can't.
Does it still infuriate you? That's so crazy.
Yeah, I can't. I see avocados in stores, and my first instinct is like a freaking cockatoo to just flip it over.
I have such a mean streak instinct to tuck an avocado into your goddamn shirt that I send you for doing this. Like, here you go, dick. Enjoy. Oh my god!
Spike that shit into the ground.
All I want to see is the video of you launching it across. Oh my god! Oh my god, that hurts. Oh, an avocado. Who knew? I mean, what?
Yeah, I don't know. They just, man, do I hate them?
Oh my god! All right, moving on. How do you move on from that? He's paranoid of avocados.
I'm sorry.
What the hell? Maybe we're not related. I don't know. All right. So, last question in the main section. Because there's no way to transition out of hating avocados that hard easily.
Yeah. Transitioning from that is a little awkward. I apologize.
What's next for you? And I don't mean what's next beyond native. I just mean what are you doing? Talk to me about 5 years. What does 5 years look like for Randy Brink?
Hopefully still alive. Hopefully still
hating avocado.
Yeah, probably still hating avocado. Working on myself and working at the restaurant and hopefully refining what we're doing there and just kind of hopefully getting back to traveling. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows where we're going to be in 5 years with everything.
Yeah.
But
hopefully a better place. Jesus. I mean, by then,
hopefully.
Come on. We got to have something. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I like where I'm at, and hopefully can maintain that. Everything's pretty solid so far.
I think there's going to be a lot of listeners who are kind of jealous of that, because it definitely now, man, I think people are struggling to find their place. And the fact that you have it and you have it so focused, and I mean, you have it so on point, and I can say that having been there. God damn it. I mean, you are a lucky human being, man. Keep that shit going.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
For sure.
It's taken a while to get there, and it's nice being there.
I mean, I'm 43, dude. Trust me, it takes time, and then you lose it, and then you find it again. So stay tuned. It'll get interesting. Hey, you ready for some afters? Ready to get crazy?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. I'm standing in your kitchen. You can pick professionally or at home. What music am I listening to?
What kind of music are we listening to? Oh, I mean, that kind of depends on the mood. But as of recently, Caleb has gotten me a lot into some more, I guess, country type stuff.
Nice.
Tyler Childs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Why am I drawing a blank here? Coulter Wall, Sturgill Simpson. Those have all been like pretty regular things playing.
Okay.
I found the Native Howl a few years ago. Like them a lot. They're like a thrash grass band. So it's usually more upbeat, kind of quicker stuff for the most part.
Nice.
Also, not usually when I'm working, I don't like to listen to music. I kind of like to just
be head down in the moment.
Yeah.
Heard.
But at home, if I'm listening to music, that's a lot of it. That, and if I'm gonna deep dive into my old music stuff, it'd be like Against Me, Rancid.
Hell yeah, man.
Thrice, Alkaline Trio. That'd be like kind of like my teenage deep dive if I was gonna head back that way.
Your angsty period, if you will.
Yeah. My teen angst grew into an adult indifference. So
that's fair.
Now I'm listening to a little bit of slower music.
No, I feel that 100%. Fictitious scenario. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island. You can only bring 3 foods or food type items with you. Those could be like condiments, supply equipment, whatever. Unlimited supply through the magic of imagination, but only 3. What would they be and why?
Definitely pork belly.
Nice.
Probably pork belly. Probably like chocolate. Like nice, real, dark, rich chocolate.
From Mocha in Honesdale.
From Mocha in Honesdale. That would be absolutely perfect.
Watch how I did that. What a hooker I am.
And definitely, if it's going to be an unlimited supply, probably Teeling's whiskey.
Oh, nice. I mean,
if I'm being real here, that'd probably be my 3 food groups.
Dude, I mean, everything else you could get, you're gonna die, so die happy. I hear you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah, fuck it. It's gonna be sunburned on a desert island, you might as well not feel it.
Your ass will be 86 sooner or later, so there it is. So have you had a chance to ever check out My Last Supper by Melanie Denea?
I have not, no.
So, awesome photo book. Being into cookbooks, I highly recommend it. It's not a cookbook, but it is a coffee table book. 50 world-famous chefs and a world-class photographer, Melanie, who takes one picture of each. It's actually where, if you've ever seen the Bourdain shot where he's got a cow femur hanging between his legs and he's naked.
Yep.
She's the one that did that.
Oh, okay.
So she asks them the same 5 questions. And they all center around your card is getting punched tomorrow. What is your last supper? So, and I mean, anybody who's worked culinary, I've done a light stint or 2 in it. And even we played this. What is it, man? What is your last supper? What are you drinking? What are you listening to? Who's there?
Shit. Last
Tough,
supper.
Man. I hate to do this to you.
Yeah, Last Supper. I don't know. Oh, man. That's a good one. I think I'd go probably like real indulgent. Some some fat, extra stuffed Philly cheesesteaks.
Nice.
For everybody. What I'm drinking, whiskey, who I'm with. It would probably be everybody that I've worked with in the last almost 10 years.
Oh.
Like the vast majority of the people that I've come up with in the culinary world have become some of my best friends. I don't see all of them as often as I would like to, which sucks, but also working in the restaurant industry, we all know what it's like and that you're not going to get to see everybody all the time. But that would be, and probably, I don't know, listening probably Against Me as I'm going out. That'd probably be the band that I would listen to as I'm kicking the fucking bucket.
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't typically I've listened to 143 answers to that before. Your answer, and again, I'm gonna harken back to the fact that not classically trained at all. You obviously Bourdain. Have you read Kitchen Confidential?
Yeah, years ago.
So I'm going to wax a quick story here. So in it, there's a character referred to as Grill Bitch. I'm sure you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been on the show now 4 times now, is a dear friend of mine. And now, again, because of the show, the long story short was my wife's sorority sister was her neighbor in Manhattan in the early 30s of my episodes and got us hooked up. And now, literally over the summer, I'm not sure how many weekends she spent here with her daughter, but like drives down from New York, hangs out, and her artwork is that logo that Bourdain put on his chef jacket. Like, she drew that on a napkin one night, hammered out of her mind. And that's where she got it from. And so literally, I'm the only person who's asked her directly, can I get that tattooed on my arm? And she said, sure. You're the first person to ask me. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, what? But she waxes nostalgic when we hang out about the pirate ship that is Culinary. And I'm really going to try to keep my shit together here because I feel myself slipping a little bit. The fact that the people you work with, it doesn't matter what other place you work, you will never have as tight a bond as you do when you're literally 10 to 15 tickets in the shit and you got to come out of it. You got to get the plates across. You got to get them out. You've got to figure out how to do that. And you will call each other every name in the book. You will like literally be violent against each other at times. Not that that's acceptable. I get that. But it's, you know, kind of a side effect of the kitchen. And then 1 hour after closing, be drinking whiskeys together at the bar going, man, we made it. Let's do it again tomorrow. God damn, kid. That makes me admire you. Like, I ate from your plate. And I thought that was admiring, but son of a bitch, that answer. Ooh, and I'm not even at the last question, you prick. Like, you're kind of like hijacking my interview here, but that's... man, the people you worked with. The answers. Oh, you're not kidding, man. The people you worked with. That's such a... Listen, culinary students who I know listen to this, listen to that. The people you work with are going to be your family someday, so
yeah,
stay tight with that. True. Stay tight with that. And last question then, simplest and yet most complex, and I'm really intrigued to know your answer to this now. What is food to Randy Brink in a single word?
Shit, in a single word.
It's not shit, dude. Come on.
Fucking eternal. I mean, it's the thing that sustains us, keeps us going. It will constantly be there until maybe we hit some singularity moment and we cross over and join in with the fucking computers and robots. Until then, it's a thing that eternal. Keeps us going.
It is, man. I've never wanted to throw out the last question, but I honestly contemplated for about a hot second. I'm like, I should throw that question out after his answer to 15. Like, what the fuck? But I kept it, and eternal is amazing, as is your culinary repertoire, your skill set, and just you in general, dude. I'm so proud. I feel so privileged to know you and to have that connection with you, and then to find it out in a really cool situation and to be able to tell your story here tonight. So, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us.
Yeah, I super appreciate it. You know, didn't expect this to become a thing, and it's pretty interesting, and it's a weird situation to have this happen. Especially, like, I mean, starting working at Native, and a lot of strange opportunities have been presenting themselves, and it's been a pretty fun ride for this last year, in which we're going to be hitting a year in November of being open.
There it is, man, and I cannot wait to see that. I cannot wait to hear about it. I can't wait to hear about what you do next, and I hope that we here at the show can stay plugged into it. So again, Randy, thank you so much. Native in Honesdale, 560 Main Street, nativehonesdale.com. Go out, check them out. They're amazing. Randy Brink, Executive Sous Chef Extraordinaire. And by the way, Caleb, I don't know if that's his title. That's what I went with. So if there's any problems, call me. I'll send you another shirt. I don't care. There it is.
All right.
Thanks again, brother. Our producer, as always, this evening has been the Reverend Johnny Lamoria, a.k.a. Johnny Leland Robinson. Be sure to check out his Cinematic Pig's Feet podcast, as well as everything libertarian happening in the 18431. Next episode is going to be number 145. Still hanging out in the Dale of Hones. Stay tuned. Are you passing through central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.